The government was in the Supreme Court today, but the Supreme Court has delivered a setback for the opposition on the issue of it being targeted by enforcement agencies. We'll tell you more on that. Also among our newsmakers tonight, Ghulam Nabi Azad, who releases his autobiography today. We'll tell you why he's still angry with the Congress. But first, it's time for the 9 headlines at 9. A big setback to the opposition. The Supreme Court junks a plea by 14 opposition parties alleging misuse of central agencies. Supreme Court tells opposition to cite specific instances, says politicians can't get special treatment. Criticism of the centre is not anti-India or anti-establishment, says the Supreme Court, while overturning government ban on a Kerala news channel, Media One, questions the manner in which sealed envelopes are used by the government to hide information. Star power boost to the BJP's campaign in Karnataka. Actor Kicha Sudeep lends support to Chief Minister Bommai just months after meeting with DK Shivkumar. Telangana BJP chief's dramatic midnight arrest sparks a political slugfest. Bandi Sanjay named accused number 1. Police claim texts recovered from his phone are dubious in nature. Accuse him of being involved in exam leak scam. Kerala train attack accused is arrested. Shahrukh Saifi arrested from Ratnagiri in Maharashtra. Kerala's top cop says terror angle being probed. Ex-Gandhi loyalist Ghulam Nabi Azad slams Rahul Gandhi, says Rahul was the sole reason for his leaving the party, insists that when one joins the Congress today, one has to be spineless. The late Chief Minister of UP and Supremo of the Samajwadi Party, Mulayam Singh Yadav, honoured with the Padma Vibhushan posthumously. Akhilesh Yadav receives the award. 4,435 fresh COVID cases registered in 24 hours, the highest in 163 days. Active count crosses 23,000. Former US President Donald Trump cries foul after pleading not guilty over hush money charges, says US democracy is going to hell. But tonight's top story comes from the Supreme Court, where the biggest flashpoint between the opposition and the Modi government is the alleged misuse of central investigative agencies. 14 opposition parties filed a petition in the court, but in a big setback, the Supreme Court refused to entertain the plea, asking the opposition's counsel, Abhishek Manu Singhvi, to come back with specific cases of misuse and warning that politicians can't get special treatment. So where does this leave the entire issue of alleged misuse of central agencies by the Modi government? What step can the opposition take next? It's our top story tonight.
14 opposition parties, including the Congress, moved the Supreme Court claiming misuse of agencies by the centre. But in a big setback, the Supreme Court refused to entertain the opposition's plea, forcing it to ultimately withdraw the petition. The opposition argued that there has been a 600% jump in ED and CBI cases under the Narendra Modi government, calling it a chilling effect on democracy and dissent. Not just that, the opposition further argued that investigative agencies have been deployed in a targeted manner against them, and that mass arrests pose a threat to India's democracy.
The court heard us at some length with great patience. The court felt that this is too large a matter to lay down general guidelines. They have categorically allowed the withdrawal of this petition, not passing any adverse order.
The 3-judge Supreme Court bench noted that despite the statistics, the conviction rate is dismal and that immunity from arrest cannot be granted. Chief Justice of India, D.Y. Chandrachud, further asked the opposition to come back only when there are specific cases of agencies targeting them, while also stating that guidelines will not be framed solely for politicians. Not just that, in its concluding remark, the SC stated that if there is an effect on the opposition, it will have to find a remedy in the political space and not in the court.
The Supreme Court today, while hearing the matter, put out a strong message to all the netas when it said that politicians cannot be expected to be treated at a higher pedestal in comparison to common citizens. CJI Chandrachud, who was heading the bench, also said that politicians are nothing more than common citizens of the country.
The BJP was quick to hail the SC's move to strike down the plea, claiming that agencies have been vindicated and the Congress stands exposed for leading the corrupt.
भ्रष्टाचार का वैसे भी नेतृत्व कांग्रेस ही कर रही है और भ्रष्टाचारियों का भी। तो दुख तो इस बात का है कि जांच में सहयोग करने की बजाय बहाने बनाकर कोर्ट में मामले को और लटकाने का प्रयास किया जाता है।
95% of all cases involve opposition leaders as far as the political sphere is concerned. That, according to us, skews democracy, makes democracy one-sided and lopsided, and that in turn affects negatively basic structure.
The petition has divided the opposition again, with AIMIM chief Asaduddin Owaisi publicly poking holes in the Supreme Court plea.
शुरू से ये फैसला यही नतीजा आने वाला था भाई आपको कॉन्क्रीट रिजल्ट निकलता ना वो काम करते आप चले गए अब सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने तो फैसला दे दिया बीजेपी को हैंडल मिल गया अब देखिए शाम में टीवी पर वही बाजा बजेगा
With the opposition forced to withdraw their plea, is its campaign against the ED and the CBI failing flat? With Nalini Sharma, Bureau Report, India Today.
Is the opposition's campaign against the ED CBI then falling flat? Does the opposition need to give hard evidence of political vendetta? Is the BJP really a washing machine, as the opposition still insists? Joining me now is Siddharth Luthra, former Additional Solicitor General, is with us. Shantanu Sen, former Joint Director CBI, with us. Sanjay Jha, political analyst who's been with the Congress, and he is here in a way because the Congress didn't want to come on this debate. Sudhanshu Trivedi, BJP MP, will join me shortly. There he is. Krishan Mane is BRS leader. Remember, BRS, one of the parties that went to the court. I want to come first to the experts before I come to the politicians. Siddharth Luthra, to you first. Do you believe this was an ill-conceived or misconceived petition in some manner, that you go to the Supreme Court almost like a fishing expedition, hoping to get some relief rather than going with a concrete case? Was it enough for the opposition to claim that because 95% of the cases registered by the CBI since 2014 and the ED since 2014 have to do with opposition netas, that's proof that the opposition is being targeted?
So I'll put it to you simply. I don't think you can say that the number of cases have gone up. The question is the merits of each case. If you feel that there are cases which are malified, which are without substance, you should go for them specifically. I think the larger issue which ought to be addressed, and for whatever reason, I'm not a political person, but for whatever reason, the political party said they were being targeted. What we need to focus is, are citizens' rights being curtailed? Had they gone there as representatives of the people and given illustrative evidences with illustrated cases with material to say that individuals' rights are being curtailed by investigating agencies? And that has two parts. One, the kind of legislations we have brought over the last few decades. B, remember this is, even PMLA is a 20-year-old law, effectively. Secondly, the nature of powers that we've given. Third, the lack of judicial oversight. Now, all of these create a cocktail, a heady cocktail, where investigators are going to use their powers. And they're going to use them excessively because there is no real supervision on them. Add to the fact that the Supreme Court judgment, which is in review, has created only a very small window for being let out of a PMLA prosecution, but largely it has accepted the government stand, though the money bill issue is still pending. So if you take all of this together, the issue is really that citizens' rights are being curtailed, presumption of innocence is being done away with, as also the fact that there's a reverse burden of proof on the individual. And that's a good case to be made out. And
but that is already a separate, Mr. Luthra, there's already a separate case challenging the Prevention of Money Laundering Act.
I'm not on the money laundering. I'm saying every legislation that you brought in the domain of criminal law, Companies Act, others, these are challenges are pending, but go and point out special instances of abuse and say why this needs to change and why the law is to be interpreted in a manner or the law is to be struck down because of the kind of honor, kind of arbitrariness in it. Now, it's not just about one law. You should have done this legislation by legislation. PMLA, of course, is pending. Legislation by legislation, giving specific instances and pointing out legally how there's manifest arbitrariness in all these laws. That was the case to be made out.
Right.
If you go as political parties, it is seen, and if the court entertains such a plea, unless specific instances are made out, it's going to be seen as if the court is taking side, and the court's job is to adjudicate, not to be seen as playing on one side or the other, and that's the function. And therefore, I think this petition in that sense was totally ill-fated.
Petition was totally ill-fated. Sanjay Jha, you want to respond to that? Because, you know, here was the opposition making it out to be that this petition will corner the Modi government. We are going to go to the Supreme Court and object to the manner in which we believe agencies are being misused to target us. What does the Supreme Court say? Please come with specific instances. Don't come with a general observation. And politicians are not a separate class. If there is an arrest in a specific case which you believe involves a miscarriage of justice, go with that case. This is the problem the opposition faces. There's a credibility question now.
Rajdeep, I don't think there is any credibility question whatsoever. I think the only difference is that the Supreme Court has said, let the individual cases as they are at different stages of the court or investigation or prosecution find their own logical process through the judicial protocol that we have. I don't think anybody is denying, the Supreme Court is not denying that there is an off-kilter, lopsided 95% of the cases being targeted at the opposition. I think this government has been so generous in the way it has weaponized institutions of investigation to target the opposition, and that is beyond dispute. And let me give you one simple example. You have a situation today in Maharashtra where I live, Rajdeep, where you have two leaders from the Congress who joined the BJP a couple of years ago, who publicly stated, अब हम बीजेपी को हम ज्वाइन कर लिए हैं तो now we can sleep peacefully at night. These are public statements of leaders who are now with the BJP. I mean, they openly talk to you about how the ED and CBI looks the other way. Why are we ignoring, this great washing machine is not just some kind of a, rhetoric or a hyperbole or a political joke. The truth is anybody who's joined the BJP is getting away scot-free despite daylight robbery.
No, but the Supreme Court, you see that, sir, Mr. Jha, that can be said in a television debate, but when you go before the Supreme Court, you will have to provide specific instances of and that individual will have to go. It cannot be, those individuals will have to go who believe that they have been unfairly dealt with.
So
that you can't say washing machine to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court will say, look, we are not involved in your politics. And that's exactly what happened.
So Rajdeep, the short answer is that this will be have to be fought out. Can I finish, please?
Yeah.
This will have to be fought out both legally. I think it's a good thing that the opposition has managed to make this into a debate at a central level. The Supreme Court has not rubbished it. I think the petition has been withdrawn, and I think the opposition put it together because they were being collectively harassed. That's a short, brutal truth. The second point is very crucial. Where is, by the way, the Lokpal, which was supposed to become an independent CBI after the Congress passed the Lokpal Act in 2013? 10 years have gone. And you have a situation today under Mr. Modi's government. The CBI raids the CBI at the midnight hour. The CBI chief goes against the government to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court tells the government that your handling of the entire issue of the CBI chiefs is illegal. So this is a government with absolutely no credibility. It has no fountainhead. Nothing underpins its argument of transparent governance.
Okay, you made your point and I've given you enough time to make that. But Siddharth Luthra, you want to quickly respond before we move ahead. What's your point that you want to make?
Look, we've had arbitrary arrests in this country for time immemorial. 94 Supreme Court said in Jogendra Kumar, don't have arbitrary arrest. 97, again they reiterated it. We've tried to tweak with the law, but frankly, we've not done away with the expansive powers of arrest, which are not regulated. And therefore, people will complain about unfairness, and rightly so. So the issue is this. Is it not a citizen-centric issue, or is it only political party-centric issue? My case is, it's a citizen-centric issue, and why don't we see people across the board raising it? You go to court, point out instances where this kind of arbitrariness is taking place. I can tell you, as appearing both for the defense and the prosecution, this is an issue which is raised time and again in court, and it is addressed on individual cases, and that's what needs to be done. Give those instances and then point out that this power of arrest needs to be regulated, controlled. It's not being done legislatively, so the courts will have to step in. And that's what has to be said, or prosecution.
You're saying citizens have to go. You're saying it's not just, it cannot be exclusively for politicians. Wrongful arrest could involve a citizen as well. Point well taken. Sudhanshu Trivedi, you know, all of this is coming down to what has been a sustained campaign so far, that the BJP is a washing machine. And actually, let's be honest, Sudhanshu Trivedi, the fact is that we have seen instances where those who have switched sides, and I'll list all those instances of those who have switched sides from to the BJP, have in some way the cases have slowed down, while those who have in the opposition have got targeted. Now this may be, you will say, perception, but it's also the hard reality. The hard reality when you look at the cases clearly is that opposition leaders, 95% of the cases involving politicians are only opposition.
Rajdeep ji, I will give you the hard reality and the vast reality. Those raising this question is having two dimensions of answer. One is a purely technical and objective answer, another is a political and moral answer. On the technical and objective aspect, Mr. Luthra was saying correct that if you are having any merit in the case by case, you can go and you can get relief. Take the example of Sanjay Raut, he got a relief. Take the case of Pawan Kheda, he got a relief, and several other examples in which they got the relief. But when you want to put forth in a political umbrella and try to take a garb of technicality in order to protect yourself on the pretext that 95% are against the opposition, so I would just like to ask, can these political party quote a single name of a political party that they are not having any case of corruption before 2014? This 2G, CWG, coal scam, Suresh Kalmani, Pawan Bansal, A. Raja, during the Manmohan Singh ji's government. Sri P.V. Narasimha Rao was the first Prime Minister who has to appear as an ex-Prime Minister in the court of law on the charges of corruption. Sri Rajiv Gandhi ji was the first Prime Minister who came under the suspicion in Bofort's case. What you are talking about, sir? Lalu Yadav ji has gone jail in 1997 when there was a United Front government. Mulayam Singh ji and Mayawati ji, DMK and Akali Dal were facing disproportionate asset charges during the Congress regime. बड़ी अजीब बात है, वॉशिंग मशीन की बात ऐसे कह रहे हैं जनाब, क्या पहले दाग नहीं थे? दागों से तो भरी हुई थी आपकी चादर.
नहीं वो तो बात आपकी सही है, लेकिन उनको नहीं सर सुधांशु जी, ना 1 minute sir. Sudhanshu ji, you make a good point, but the question is, एक minute, you are making the point that there are people who against whom corruption charges existed before 2014, the law is taking its course. But what about those? And I'll give you those examples from parties like the TDP. The moment they switched over to you, the cases suddenly slowed down. What about that? Who goes to court for that? When the law should operate equally for all. If I switch from the TDP to you, if I switch from the Congress to you, if I switch from the Shiv Sena to the Shinde Sena, I seem to get protection. That's the point.
I was coming to that point. Rajdeep ji, I was coming to that point. Those who are trying to put an allegation, I would like to say, quote a single instance in which any leader who has switched the side, the case is withdrawn, or the case a closure report is filed, as it was in the case of your time when in the PSC report of the 2G scam, the three parties which subverted the report, SP, BSP and DMK, within weeks, they withdrawn the report. Rukiye, Sune, let me complete the submission, sir. In December 2007, CBI filed the charge sheet against Mulayam Singh Yadav as a disproportionate asset case. I'm giving you the timeline. In July 2008, they support the government on nuclear deal, and 1 week the reports withdrawn and final is closed in December 2008. CBI says in the court just in 12 months that there is no case of that such. Can you quote a single instance? I would like to remind.
Yes, sir.
Himanta Biswa Sarma appeared before CBI in Kolkata after he joined our party. And as far as the slow and speed and fast is concerned, तो Robert Vadra के खिलाफ भी अभी पिछले कुछ महीनों से तो कुछ नहीं हुआ. What do you want to say?
Rajdeep, let me
Robert
comment.
Vadra पे मेहरबान है. जनाब यही तो प्रॉब्लम है. दिस इज द फंडामेंटल प्रॉब्लम एंड द मैनर इन विच your face have been read in today's Supreme Court. I would like to quote Rajdeep ji. एक हिंदी का बड़ा फेमस दोहा है, लाली मेरे लाल की जित देखूं तित लाल, और लाली देखन मैं गई मैं भी हो गई लाल. I think this is exactly in the same way as they are read. Whatever they want to say, but they are now
Trivedi in great form today, but yes, he wants a specific instance, Sanjay Jha, where a closure report has been filed because someone has switched over to your side.
Well, let me tell you a brazen case in Karnataka. And Mr. Trivedi can kindly get some input from the BJP IT cell, who you can Google right now. The Reddy brothers, the infamous Reddy brothers of Bellary, were quietly given a clean chit by the CBI. And this was done in a fashion that was so repugnant in terms of its immorality that I think the world was shocked. The second point, very important here. Right now in Karnataka, Rajdeep, the world has been talking about this MLA and his son caught with crores of cash. Has the CBI and the ED landed in Karnataka to arrest him and investigate the case?
But he's already been arrested. He's been arrested by the state police.
Well, let me tell you the third part which is important. And that, today in Karnataka, this is a government for several years has been called, not now, for several years in Karnataka, whether it's businessmen, whether it's a Uber driver, ask anybody, they call it the Karnataka High Commission, 40% plus. How many raids have we seen in Karnataka? None at all. So this is a government that, frankly speaking, is thick-skinned, doesn't care a damn for public property because it controls the weapons of investigation.
Okay.
And that's the hard truth.
You made that point. Siddharth Uttar, Shantanu Sen, just be patient for a moment because the BRS guest, I just for a moment want to point out how this operates. What happened midnight last night? The BJP state president, and we'll play shots of that, was picked up, almost reminiscent of the way Karunanidhi, the late Tamil Nadu chief minister, was picked up during Jayalalitha's time. Bandi Sanjay Kumar was picked up allegedly because he is involved in a scam of fake papers, is what the Telangana government claims, of exam leakage. Suddenly you have a case where your Telangana government at midnight goes there. Now the BJP there is saying it's vendetta. They are saying there are people close to KCR who have not been touched in the same scam, but you've got Bandi Sanjay Kumar. There you have the pictures of him being picked up by the police at midnight. So let's be clear. Jiski lathi uski bhains. The fact is that if it is a state police in Telangana, you are misusing state powers, and now you are accusing the center of misusing ED CBI. Hamam mein sab nange hain.
Rajdeep, my only concern is rule of law applies to all across India. Exactly rightly as you pointed out. See, I have the remand copy with me of BJP State President Bandi Sanjay. 14 days of court remand, accused one for the BJP State President because he had WhatsApp call conversations, WhatsApp chat conversations with the accused two of the paper leak, and the BJP State President does not want to give his mobile phone to the police department for investigation. Why I'm saying this is, when the CBI or the ED wants the opposition leaders to cooperate, we have seen how Kavita ji, or the claim which the ED and the BJP's press conferences claim that our leader Kavita ji damaged mobile phones, where she has actually produced and handed over the phones to the ED. But here you see the BJP state president does not want to cooperate with the investigation. Same in the case of Mr. B.L. Santosh, who did not want to appear for the sick notices and wanted to evade investigation. Why is it a different law for the BJP when they expect opposition leaders to cooperate for the investigation? And one more thing, the BJP spokesperson in the panel has mentioned about Sanjay Raut ji's case. Yes, Sanjay Raut ji got a relief, but after how many days? After 100 odd days, when the court mentioned that the ED could not establish any evidence. So the point is about not a case or no case. The point is about the harassment against leaders like Sanjay Raut, like Manish Sisodia, or many opposition leaders, where BJP wants to send these opposition leaders to the jail and want to judge or tarnish the image, dent the image The same thing. You see,
You
BJP's
made your
official
point.
hand-
Mr. Mane, you made your point. You made a strong point. You claim there are different rules, and that's where we are coming. The court, of course, did not accept the petition as it stands. That doesn't necessarily mean that you can't go again to the court. But Shantanu Sen, purely speaking as an observer, what seems to be happening is abuse of police power. I mentioned that when it's the state police uses it to arrest someone who's seen as a political opponent. We've seen cases where people are picked up at midnight from Gujarat like Jignesh Mevani and taken to Assam, allegedly because they defamed the Prime Minister. And you've got cases where the central agencies are seen to observe different rules depending on which side of the fence you are. Karnataka, no enforcement directorate, but enforcement directorate will work when the MVA government is in Maharashtra. Do you believe the problem is with the police? That at the end of the day, actually what the court had done with police reform is where the real problem issue is. If you had an independent police, if you had an independent CBI, an independent ED, none of these problems would exist.
Hearing all the members of the panel, the CBI is under attack, and rightly so. I do not blame the panelists here for attacking the CBI, but let me try to explain the position. CBI has just celebrated its Diamond Jubilee. Actually, CBI is older than that. CBI came in the 40s as a Special Police Establishment Act. It was then fairly independent. It had a right to choose and investigate. It had a right to verify for a long period any allegation of corruption and then investigate. And CBI has a brilliant record of investigating senior public servants and politicians right till the 80s. There were ICS officers, there were ministers.
So when did it all change? I'm sorry, if you can be a little brief. When did it all change? When did it all change in your view? When was the CBI and ED
It started changing from 1986. And thereafter when Rajiv Gandhi issued the single directive. And thereafter the CVC Act was amended. And today CBI is actually caged. 6 July 2018, CBI has been told that you cannot investigate any act of prevention till we, the government of the day, whether it is the state or the government of India, can issue orders. And the SOP for implementing that 6 July 2018 PC Act has come only on the 3rd September 2021. For 3 years there was not even an SOP. The government could direct.
So you're saying there's been a progressive deterioration or a progressive politicization. There's been a progressive politicization of the agency. Siddharth Luthra, as someone who's been an additional Solicitor General.
Call it what you like.
Okay.
Call it what.
Siddharth Luthra, you want to respond? Is there a progressive politicization of agencies? When you go to the courts, do you sense what we as citizens are sensing today? That depending on which side of the political fence you are, the CBI and ED acts. If it is someone close to the government, they will go slow. If it is someone opposed to the government, they will use PMLA in particular and go hammer and tongs.
Rajdeep, the problem, as Mr. Sen and all the other speakers have said, and you mentioned, it's not related only to the central agencies. It is now a national problem. There is a selective application of the law more often than not, and that has to do with the loss of independence. Until you ensure independent investigators dealt with by independent regulators, whether it is central organizations or state police, you will continue to have this problem.
So what's the solution? What's the solution?
As Mr. Sen
Siddharth,
says,
what's the solution? Today when the opposition went to the court says we can't issue guidelines based on 95% cases being against opposition.
Look, Rajdeep, everybody here has said that all these agencies have acted based on the mandate of political masters at different point of time. If that's what all these gentlemen are doing, then clearly that makes out a case for reform. Depending on who's in power at what point, each are attacking each other, and that's what needs to be seen. The point today is really this. We have Prakash Singh's judgment. They talked about police reform. We need similar reform. We need police reform, we need reform in the ED, we need reform in the income tax, we need to ensure that we have professional police officers, highly trained with expertise, they're trained, but we also need them to report to independent regulators so that there is no political interference. Today, when people are vying for posts, when people are vying for post-retirement jobs, when postings are selectively given and the power is retained in the hands of political masters, you are going to have a problem, and that problem has only got worse.
But you see,
that's
this is
the issue.
You see, wait, Siddharth Uttara, Prakash Singh is a
nobody will deal with it.
2008 judgment. Sudhanshu Trivedi, you see, you're a member of parliament. You see, today what has happened, 14 opposition parties have gone, some would say almost in desperation, to the Supreme Court. The real issue is in parliament. How many of you are willing to stand up today and say that the police reforms which were initiated through the Prakash Singh case of 2008 need to be implemented? Make the police independent.
2006.
You do not want to make the police independent because the police is being used, Sudhanshu Trivedi, by central and state governments, by both, to target political opponents. It's your weapon. That's the real story.
Rajdeep ji, yes, definitely there are several reforms which are needed in this country to make the system more vibrant and transparent. Police reforms, administrative reforms and judicial reforms. Then we should talk about all sort of reforms because there are several lacunas and several things are there in the system. But as far as those who are saying that they make the police independent, then they will say that it has come the police Raj. I just want to say one thing. Somebody was raising the issue of the Lokpal and others. Why there is a presumption that Mr. X will always be right and Mr. Y will always be wrong? If you are saying that you are, as per opposition, that the political leadership cannot be justified when they have to answer everything in the parliament and after 5 years everything to the public, then anybody who is coming suo moto with having all sort of powers in their hand with no answerability to anywhere, they will be absolutely honest and forever they will be honest. I think these type of things also needs to be rethink. There are several laws has been made which has been creating so many of situation. So just I want to say one thing. आप देखिए कैसा कैसा वो होता है. One example. There are parties which are using the law that those who are terror accused in the blast cases in the courts of Faizabad, Varanasi and Lucknow to be withdrawn, but leaders like Lal Krishna Advani and Murli Manohar Joshi should remain a criminal of 120B. And when these type of things are done, and they are saying that they were not misusing, they were not politically using, they got stopped by the court.
Sudhanshu bhai,
that how you can withdraw the cases not against criminal, but against the terror accused.
Sir, you are a very rare, honest politician. Cross your heart and tell me that Enforcement Directorate is not being used to spread fear in the opposition. Cross your heart and say, nahi, Enforcement Directorate ka durupyog nahi ho raha hai. Cross your heart and say that. Durupyog nahi ho raha hai.
Rajdeep ji, you put your hand on your heart and say कि इनमें से कोई भी corrupt नहीं था in parties में in the last 40 years. बता दीजिए.
I put it on my hand on heart and say
those are engulfed in corruption from top to bottom.
But that can't be a justification. That can't be a justification, sir. Hamam mein sab nange hai cannot be a justification.
I'm not saying.
You are in power.
Sir, they are correct. They are the typical corrupt people since the 2 generations, since the 40 years. Now they are just trying to, you can say, just trying to have a fig leaf cover for all their misconduct which they are doing since last 30, 40 years.
I see. Okay, I will give a quick response. Sanjay Jha, 30 seconds, not more.
Okay. Rajdeep, very quickly. In the Sanjay Raut case, the special court said the ED's arrest was illegal. Can you imagine a leader from Maharashtra, a very popular guy, if he can be arrested by ED without a case, what is the state of the common ordinary citizen of India? Point number two, he never answered you about Lokpal. By the way, I was defending the Congress at that point of time. The Lokpal brought an end to the UPA government. 10 years of Lokpal. I want the people of India watching your program to ask the Prime Minister, Mr. Modi ji, wo Lokpal kya hua us Lokpal ka?
Okay.
It changed the fortunes of India's political history.
Sir,
and you have the BJP today, which has the hypocrisy to not even answer the question.
But you know,
where is CBI independence?
Sir, whether you
The
like
caged
it, sir,
pirate-
whether you like it or not,
change and
sir,
his tonsils removed.
no, Krishan Mane, you see, the Prime Minister says this is Bhrashtachar Bachao Andolan. After today's Supreme Court order, that's what the BJP will say. That all these leaders went to the Supreme Court only to protect their corruption. That's, you see, perceptionally, you have lost out today.
Well, not
Bhrashtachar
exactly,
Janata
Rajdeep,
Party.
because specifically we still have a chance to go individually and fight out the case. But the point is,
So why
while
don't you
we
go
have
individually?
taken-
So why doesn't
No,
the
the thing
case,
is-
why don't you go individually? Why doesn't Kavita, your leader of the TRS, who's been accused today in the Delhi liquor scam, why doesn't she go and say I'm being unfairly
course.
targeted?
Yeah, of course the case is going on, but we are glad that not just in the court, that we are debating in the People's Court, Rajdeep. Today you've taken up this discussion because see, BJP, if you see the lines, be it Modi ji or the panelists here, they are talking about they. Why are you exempting the BJP? Is it Bharatiya Justice Party? Are they direct hereditary of Satya Harishchandra ji? Why are they exempting the BJP?
Okay.
Tell us one name. Every show we ask you, tell us one name of any BJP leader across India who has faced jail for his graft charges. Are they so clean? Before they are pointing out at opposition parties, apna gireban jhaklo. That is what we are asking about on
Okay,
BJP.
let me leave it because I see my graphic coming up of the likes of Narayan Rane. Again, I will ask you, Sudhanshu, as an honest politician. Narayan Rane, suddenly we find him to be doodh se dhula hua. Kya, sir? This is the perceptual problem. Yes, the Supreme Court today has given a setback to the opposition. But there is a People's Court, na? Janta ki adalat bhi hai.
Sir, I have already given an answer. We have neither diluted nor stopped any case like in their case, they have withdrawn the cases. Fight the closer report. And if you are saying that particular case is going with a particular pace, I have also given
Narayan
example
Rane's
of the
case is
water
virtually closed.
since last few months. You have not
He's a
seen water
cabinet
has been-
minister.
So what you want
He's
to
a
say?
cabinet minister.
somebody's
He
head.
supposedly has built a house
So
which
that's
was
what I am
ruled to be
saying.
illegal, which was
The
supposed
thing-
to be
and one
demolished.
more thing. सुनिए राजदीप जी एक और चीज, be very honest. On the issue of Hemanta Biswa Sharma's water scam, the official stand of the opposition is there was no such scam. I want an answer. Do they consider it a scam or not? ये होती है ऑनेस्टी बदलना. यानी
सर, ये-
ऑफिशियल स्टैंड है कि स्कैम नहीं है,
अरे
बट
सर-
व्हेन ही स्विच्ड ओवर ये स्कैम है.
Right.
In Sharda there is official stand of Trinamool Congress. There is no such scam. Now it is a scam. So I want an answer. What is their political stand?
Okay, fair enough.
Then I'm
Sudhanshu
ready to give my
Trivedi.
stand.
Sudhanshu Trivedi, this is the problem, that where you stand in politics depends on where you sit. There is the People's Court, but today the Supreme Court clearly has said, come back to us with specific instances, not a generic petition. Appreciate all my guests joining me on our big talking point tonight. Let's move on from there to another major order that came in from the Supreme Court today, because the court today overturned the ban imposed on a Malayalam news channel, Media One, and pulled up the center. The Malayalam channel was taken off air in January 2022 after the INB ministry imposed a ban and refused to renew its broadcasting license, citing national security concerns. Listen in to what the court said.
By saying that reporting on or criticizing government is not anti-establishment, the Supreme Court has laid down certain principles that will have a huge ramification not only on press freedoms but also on cases that are before the court, especially where sealed covers are being filed by the government. The apex court making it clear that sealed cover jurisprudence violates constitutional principles and principles of natural justice, and that there has to be a restriction and restraint by the courts when looking at information in sealed covers. This is bound to have a huge impact not only on press freedoms but also on the way the courts look at sensitive matters. In New Delhi, with cameraman Ashwini Hillan, this is Anisha Mathur for India Today.
Let's turn from there to our newsmaker of the day. Remember Ghulam Nabi Azad, the senior Congress leader? Well, he's brought out an autobiography. Today was a day when Ghulam Nabi Azad's autobiography was released. It was released on a day when another person who's left the Congress, Jyotiraditya Scindia, accused the Gandhis of being left with no ideology except the one of a traitor who works against the country. Scindia, remember, was very close to Rahul Gandhi, but today he hit back at Rahul. Listen in.
कांग्रेस पार्टी की कोई विचारधारा नहीं बची है। ऐसी कांग्रेस पार्टी की केवल एक विचारधारा बची है और वो विचारधारा है एक देशद्रोही की विचारधारा और देश के विरुद्ध कार्य करने की विचारधारा।
ज्योतिरादित्य सिंधिया जी अपनी पार्टी में जो अब जहां वो विद्यमान हैं वहां रेलिवेंट बने रहने के लिए यदा कदा जो है अपनी पुरानी पार्टी पर हमला करते हैं और यही ज्योतिरादित्य सिंधिया जी हैं जिनके कई भाषणों का उल्लेख किया जाए तो उन्होंने आरएसएस के लिए और भाजपा के लिए क्या नहीं कहा है।
It's not just Jyotiraditya Scindia though. 8 months since he dumped the grand old party, former Gandhi family loyalist Ghulam Nabi Azad has penned a biography and he too has targeted the Congress. Today he was at the book release and I spoke to him where he blamed Rahul Gandhi squarely for the Congress party debacles, saying unlike Prime Minister Modi, Rahul Gandhi was not a hard-working politician. Listen in to what Ghulam Nabi Azad had to say.
राहुल गांधी की डिस्क्वालिफिकेशन हुई थी, मैंने उसी दिन जम्मू में स्टेटमेंट दिया था कि ये बिल्कुल गलत है। मैंने कांग्रेस पार्टी छोड़ी हूं, लेकिन मेरी ऑब्जेक्टिविटी कभी गई नहीं है। बुक लिखने में भी बराबर मैंने अपनी ऑब्जेक्टिविटी जारी रखी है। जो कांग्रेस ने अच्छे काम किए हैं उसकी सराहना की है, जो नहीं किए हैं उसका विरोध किया है। मोदी साहब ने भी जो अच्छे काम किए उसकी सराहना की है, जो खराब काम किए हैं उसके बारे में भी कहा। तो ये पर्टिकुलर राहुल गांधी जी का ये गलत है। और आज राहुल गांधी ने आज 12 साल बाद महसूस किया। हमने 12-13 साल पहले जब हम कैबिनेट में थे तो हमने तो ऑर्डिनेंस लाया था। हमने ऑर्डिनेंस लाया था कि ये किसी न किसी वक्त हमारे ही खिलाफ ये हथियार इस्तेमाल होगा। ये सोचना कि हम पूरी उम्र भर हम ही हुकूमत करेंगे। रियल पॉलिटिशियन वो है कि हर वक्त तैयार रहना चाहिए कि दूसरी पार्टी भी हुकूमत कर सकती है। और उस वक्त उन्होंने वो काट दिया, फाड़ के फेंक दिया ऑर्डिनेंस।
तो आपने विड्रॉ क्यों कर दिया ऑर्डिनेंस उस समय जब आप कैबिनेट में थे? आप कहते नो वी आर नॉट विड्रॉइंग। राहुल गांधी तो कैबिनेट में भी नहीं थे।
हाँ, वो कैबिनेट में नहीं थे। अब कैबिनेट की कमियां आप सब जानते हैं ना, सब कितनी जानते हैं?
नहीं जानते हैं।
नहीं जानते हैं तो बहुत वीक कैबिनेट थी। फिर कहूंगा करना चाहिए था उन्हें,
करना चाहिए था।
हाँ, और आज राहुल गांधी बच जाते।
आप कह रहे हैं कि उस समय 2013 में कैबिनेट शुड हैव स्टक टू द डिसीजन ऑफ द ऑर्डिनेंस ऑन
the cabinet should and Rashtrapati and Prime Minister should have not bowed before the Rahul Gandhi because he was not part of the cabinet. They should have not listened to him.
Manmohan Singh should not have bowed before Rahul Gandhi.
No outsider except the Rashtrapati has to overrule the decision of the cabinet. Rashtrapati is the only one, no other person. So that was a wrong thing on the part of the Congress party, of which I was also a cabinet minister. But unfortunately, collectively we decided keep mum. And what has happened?
No, but you see, you're now saying all this 9 years later. Why did you keep mum then? तब आप बोल लेते Rahul Gandhi is wrong.
लेकिन जिसने कहा था ये ठीक है, वही सबसे ज्यादा चलाता है। हम तो नहीं चला रहे। उसी जिसने काटा था उसी पर तो अप्लाई हुआ।
But interestingly, I've also read in one of those print interviews that you did, that you said ki I am happy not to be in Congress because I would not have wanted to go and line up before the Surat court.
Yes.
In support of Rahul Gandhi. You would not have gone, suppose you were, let's be honest, you were the leader of the Rajya Sabha today, of the Congress party, aap sab chale jate. That's the reality, isn't it?
That is true, because once you are in Congress, then you are spineless. आपको ऑपरेशन कराना पड़ता है ऑर्थोपेडिशियन से. That's why they are all happy इधर हमारे दूसरी पार्टी के साथ है. आपको
You're saying that why? Sir, आपने 50 साल कांग्रेस में गुजारे, आज आप कह रहे हैं if you have to be in the Congress, you have to be spineless. That means for 50 years you were spineless.
No, there's a difference. If you say Indira Gandhi never told anybody कि आप हंगामा करके मेरे जेल में आ जाओ, किसी को सीनियर लीडर. I was general secretary of the spontaneous. राहुल गांधी ने किसी को नहीं कहा. नरसिम्हा राव कोर्ट में चले जैन राजीव गांधी ने किसी को कहा. ये नरसिम्हा राव एज एक्स प्राइम मिनिस्टर वोट ऑफ नो कॉन्फिडेंस मैं नहीं लाया था, लेकिन मैंने कहा कि आपको जैन कमीशन के सामने पेश होना है तो शायद जो आपके साथी है वो नहीं आएंगे. मैंने वोट ऑफ नो कॉन्फिडेंस करके भी मैं अकेला आऊंगा. एंड यू विल बी सरप्राइज, जब जैन कमीशन के सामने एक्स प्राइम मिनिस्टर गया तो मैं उनके साथ गया, लेकिन उसने किसी वर्किंग कमेटी मेंबर को नहीं बताया एक्स मिनिस्टर को मेरे साथ आओ. So this type of force was not, this type of whip was not issued. कोई अपनी मर्जी से जाए. I don't mind anybody जब राहुल गांधी ईडी के सामने जाए तो कोई जाए, बट whip जारी नहीं होता था. I don't mind anybody going Surat court of his own, of her own, but I don't want कि whip जारी हो जाए, सब एमपीज को जाना, सब वर्किंग कमेटी जाना, सब चीफ मिनिस्टर को जाना. ये तो अपनी मर्जी है भाई. सो यू कांट फोर्स द लीडर्स, द एंटायर who's who in the party कि अब हमारे साथ आओ.
Ghulam Nabi Azad there saying Rahul Gandhi should have never objected to the ordinance of 2013. He would not be disqualified today. Well, times change. Mr. Azad, of course, has now switched sides. Let's turn to tonight's ground report. In a stunning twist, police have found out that the Kerala train fire accused is a resident of Delhi's Shaheen Bagh. The Maharashtra anti-terrorism squad, with the help of the NIA, detained one Shahrukh at a railway station in Ratnagiri late Tuesday night. He reportedly carried out a lone attack and set 3 co-passengers on fire, including an infant. But why did Shahrukh travel all the way from Delhi to Kerala for this? What was the motive? It's our special report.
He entered a train compartment, sprayed petrol on passengers and set them on fire. 3 people died after they suffered burn injuries and, in a panic, jumped out of the train, and this included a 2-year-old infant. The man behind this heinous crime is Shahrukh Shaifi. Shahrukh has been arrested by the Maharashtra anti-terror squad from Ratnagiri, where he was hospitalized after he suffered injuries while he carried out the attack.
रात में 1:30 बजे के करीब हमको सूचना मिली कि ये संदिग्ध जो है रत्नागिरी रेलवे स्टेशन के पास छुपा है. तो उसके बारे में वहाँ पे जाके हमने जब छानबीन की, वहाँ पे तलाशी ली, तो वहाँ पे हमने उसको ताबे में लिया और उस संदिग्ध को हमने केरला पुलिस के SIT के ताबे में सौंप दिया है.
But what was Shahrukh, a resident of Delhi's Shaheen Bagh, doing all the way in Kerala? Was this a terror attack on express train?
Cooperation of central agencies and Maharashtra police. The suspected accused has been taken into custody and he'll be brought back to Kerala.
India Today also tracked down Shahrukh's residence in Shaheen Bagh and spoke to his family.
Right now we are right outside Shahrukh Saifi's house. This is the house where Shahrukh Saifi used to live. We spoke to his father, Fakhruddin, who is saying that possibly he must have been misguided by certain individuals. That's what even his grandmother is saying, and they had no knowledge about the location of Shahrukh Saifi.
तो किस तरह से अब ये बता रहे हैं कि कोई टेरर एंगल भी है या डिटेल तो यही है, मैं फाइट करके करता हूँ. उसको एक साथ में कोई शादी से उसको कोई लेके गया ऐसा लगता है।
A team of Kerala police also visited Shah Rukh's Shaheen Bagh home in Delhi to carry forward the investigation. An NIA team is also currently in Kerala to probe if this petrol attack was a terror attack.
Heinous crime has been apprehended in Ratnagiri district of Maharashtra. I thank the government of Maharashtra, their police, RPF and all the people connected with this, including NIA, who have been able to very rapidly, very quickly apprehend this person.
The government has also announced compensation for the victims' families. Was this a lone wolf attack by Shah Rukh? Why did he travel all the way from Shaheen Bagh in Delhi to Kozhikode in Kerala to carry out this attack? Unanswered questions loom on the motive behind this deadly attack. Vishibi Mol, Bureau Report, India Today.
Terrible case there. Time for a break. On the other side, we'll bring you something more positive. Our Good News Today story. You're watching the news today. News without the noise.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com.
Welcome back. Now tomorrow is Hanuman Jayanti and West Bengal, like other parts of the country, will be on high alert. Remember, Bengal has been on the boil ever since violence broke out during Ram Navami celebrations last week. But in Midnapur, residents have gone above and beyond to truly depict the true spirit of India, one of harmony and brotherhood. It's our Good News Today story.
Communal violence fueled by political hate has had Bengal on edge for the last few days. But here is a story also from Bengal that shows the true spirit of India, the spirit of togetherness. In Midnapur of Bengal, Muslims were seen offering sweets and water to Ram Bhakts.
এটা খুব ভালো ভাইচারা বাড়ে এবং আমাদের সব দিনই আমাদের ইন্দ্রের সঙ্গে সব বিশ্বজাতিদের সঙ্গে এই সারা দিন এখানে আমরা 10 বার যাওয়া আসা করি কোনো দিন কোনো প্রবলেম হয়নি আশা করি আগামী দিনও কোনো দিন কিছু হবে না
The Hindus also reciprocated, presenting fruits and flowers to the masjid committee members.
हम लोग ना हिंदू ना मुसलमान सबसे बड़ा हम लोग इंसान
যে আমরা সবাই এক আমাদের ধর্ম যে যা থাকতে পারে উৎসব সবার এক আমরা সবাই সবার একসাথে এই অনুষ্ঠান উদযাপিত করলাম এখন আপনাদের সামনে
Our politicians in their blame game have only fueled more hate. But don't forget, that this side of communal harmony also exists in our beautiful India. Bureau Report, India Today.
I guess on television you show the negatives when the reality is that there's lots in civil society that still breeds harmony. We live in hope to build a better India. We leave you tonight with these images. President Draupadi Murmu conferring the Padma Awards for the year 2023. Samajwadi Party Chief Akhilesh Yadav receiving the Padma Vibhushan. There is Ravina Tandon, but Akhilesh Yadav, Sudha Murthy receiving the Padma Bhushan. And then you have Akhilesh Yadav, who received it on behalf posthumously of his father Mulayam Singh Yadav. So those were the three who were in focus. We leave you with those images. You stay well, stay safe. Netaji getting recognition posthumously. Bye for now.